It's about the moment, not the memories. Bad friends and good enemies. This life will remember me. Here's to being alive. It's about the upsets, regrets, cigarettes and death threats. Moments in your life you can't forget if you tried. Here's to being alive. When you really need to cut down on the hangovers and come downs. One more night can't hurt right. I'll start tomorrow. Here's to being alive. And I'm a catastrophe in the making, but this life is mine for the taking. My heart might be aching, my hands might be shaking, my face might be aging, but there's no escaping the inevitability that this is our time, so fuck it. Here's to being alive.
Howard, how we doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Thanks very much for speaking to me.
No worries at all, man.
So, I mean, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, you must be kind of dying for a bit of a rest after the ratings gigs. Now, I mean, that must have been great, but you must be down for a rest. But at the same time, you've got a massive gig coming up this weekend as well, no?
Yeah, the ratings lot, they're a rowdy bunch. They are.
Brilliant. It's one of my favorite albums of late. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, they're lovely lads, absolute boss. Up causing absolute ruckus, but yeah, we've got Sound City on this weekend, so we're all buzzing for that.
That's a crazy lineup as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I was just speaking to the Native on Monday, and they're off there as well. Yeah, so you'll bump into them sometime. Yeah.
Nice. I will do, mate. In Jimmy's with a pint. Aye.
Brilliant. So, I mean, the first thing I want to ask you is, I was reading a few interviews, and you consider yourself kind of a Liverpool band, no? Even though I think you're originally from Preston, no? Because my mother's from Chorley, she's from Preston as well. So it's like I wasn't sure what kind of accent to expect. But I think you're from Preston, all of you, know?
It's just me that's from Preston.
All right, I thought it was the whole band. Okay.
Yeah. No, the other lads are Yorkshire based. So
they're Yorkshire based. All right, I'm from Yorkshire as well. All right.
And then we all met at uni in Liverpool, and we've been here ever since. And we just, to be honest, we kind of get called a Scouse band, but we're not, and we don't claim to be from Liverpool, but we love it here nonetheless. It's a great city.
I mean, pretty much half of the bands that I've had on here have been from Liverpool. It's just a massive boom right now. I mean, tell me a little bit about kind of your experience on the circuit right now. I mean, it must be kind of feel very competitive, but there's a lot of camaraderie at the same time, no?
Yeah,
also than competition, no?
I was just gonna say that, mate. There's a lot of friendships going on at the Liverpool scene at the minute, and it is kind of popping off when you got people like Jack Saunders that are playing loads of bands from Liverpool and stuff and showing support, and it's like there is a bit of a scene going on, to be honest, and there are some great bands that come out of Liverpool. And many of whom that we're good friends with and that we've played with before, and there's just some really good music coming out of it at the minute, and it's great to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, it's but at the same time, they're all kind of similar styles, but yours feels kind of like it's got more of a punky American. There's more of kind of a punky American element to it, no side to it. Is that specifically from kind of anyone specifically in the band, or is that something that you always kind of strive to kind of sound a little bit more kind of British American crossover?
I don't really think it's something that we've purposely tried to do. I think it's probably come from the type of music that we listen to, really. I was actually talking about this the other day. I'm quite big on I like northern bands, and I like American bands. They tend to be like most of the music that I listen to. Nothing against southern bands or anything, but I always tend to like some of my favorite bands are the Strokes and Cage the Elephant. So that's probably what's coming across in the music, and we're dead into, speaking of some bands, we're dead into like Idols and that, to be honest. Which is the punky kind of vibe, but maybe the American thing is coming from, I'm not quite sure. What is it about the music that you find American?
No, I don't know. It's just some kind of the more guitar, especially more kind of the guitar licks and things like that. Sort of come across kind of more kind of almost kind of the grunge period in the kind of the like late 80s, early 90s. It reminded me a bit of that, some of it. Yeah.
No, we're all dead into like, especially me, I'm kind of into the grungy sort of stuff as well. So we kind of like a really fat, chunky sound, which I think is probably, it's a combination of our sort of stuff and, our producer, Mr. Alex Cohen, as well.
Yeah. And then the lyrics are very, very unique as well. I mean, you've been compared to kind of like Arctic Monkeys, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I mean, just to get to give an example, the EP starts off with like this kind of poetry, spoken poetry. You know, is that something
Yeah,
that you've
yeah.
always been into, and is that kind of something that's played into the way that you sing the songs as well? Because it does kind of
Yeah,
come across kind of more of kind of poetry than kind of like a other bands, typical kind of indie band singing. It's kind of unique, yeah.
yeah. I've always been into words really from like, I mean, only just when I started writing music. I was never really into it before, and poetry kind of had this reputation of being quite hoity-toity and like just not relatable
Yeah.
in the slightest. But I kind of got into listening to John Cooper Clarke and then the Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that, and kind of found that I was really into the lyrics and the picture that it portrayed and what the story that you could portray in your song.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
It kind of, I don't know, it's just like, I don't know if you listen to Rats as well. It's kind of that kind of singing. It makes you kind of, it forces you to listen to the story that they're trying to tell more than just kind of listen to the song as a good song and remember just kind of singing along with it. Yeah, and you kind of listen to what they've got to say. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I like stories in songs, and I also like the abstract sort of lyrics as well. So kind of do a little bit of both, to be honest. Sometimes you write about a certain experience, and sometimes you just write about like a feeling, or it is a bit more obscure. So that's me. That's how I go about it.
Yeah. And what about COVID? I mean, you've been one of the most prolific bands since COVID kind of kicked in. Was that just kind of happenstance that you managed to kind of recorded a few things before it all kicked off, or have you managed to just kind of keep finding little pockets of time to get into the studio and record something during lockdown?
Yeah, man, exactly that. Found pockets of time, and we've recorded things in the meantime, and we've had a good team around us. Our manager's been great, coming on board over COVID time and stuff like that, and yeah, and we've just canned it. We just never stopped. We were just like, right, there's going to be a lot of drop off, so bands that are going to go like, oh, giving up or can't do anything, but why not carry on fighting and trying to scrabble,
adapt to the situation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, completely. And we put in a lot of hard work, and it's like a full-time job, but we all love it at the end of the day.
So
And
I mean, how did you manage? But were those things that you've kind of recorded during these kind of brief spaces that you've had? Were they things that you'd written before lockdown, or have you managed to kind of prepare things over Zoom, or how have you how's the writing process kind of adapted or changed over the last couple of years?
There has been a little bit of both. Some songs that we did have before COVID, some that we wrote during COVID. I live with Evs, who is the guitarist in Bandit, so we wrote a lot of stuff together over lockdown.
Right.
And we had nothing to do, and it was like, well, let's get our guitars out, and we'd just go into the early hours of the morning, and we'd be sat there all day. He'd go out, get a baguette, come back. We'd just make like a ham and cheese butty, and we'd just be going, man. We'd be going all day and all night.
Brilliant.
You color my mind like crayon, my life with chaos. Days more exciting with you around. We won't sleep till we're dead, till you're it. You said we'll tell you to grow up, but it's a trap. Cause once you're old, you can't come back.
But I mean, going back to what this thing about poetry, what a lot of bands, it's either the lyrics first, then the songs. But I think 99% of the time, it's usually kind of the music first, and then the lyrics kind of implemented there. Now, how do you go about it? Because obviously you said that you're really kind of into telling stories and kind of creating this poetry. Is that something that comes first sometimes before the actual music comes out?
Yeah, I'm giving you really nonchalant answers here. I'm being like, yeah, it's both. It's like it can be different
depends,
yeah, different strokes for different tunes. Like some songs you have this all the lyrics, and you got pages of lyrics before you go like, sound, let's put a tune to it. And other times you've got all the music but no lyrics. You've even got a melody worked out on a guitar, and then just nothing to go over the top of it. And that's probably the hardest one, where you're trying to come up with lyrics to a song that you've already written.
Yeah, I mean, is that something? I mean, I imagine, have you got maybe like a logbook at home or something where you just kind of write lyrics, and if the music comes, or if the time comes, you'll use them, I guess. No, I mean, I imagine that poem that you used to open the EP is probably one of those things that you'd had written, I imagine, and decided to use it for this. Or did you write specifically after the songs to release the EP, that one?
I actually had that before, and
Right.
we had all these songs, and we were picking through them, and we were like, we didn't have a theme, and we were trying to put all these songs together, but they kind of felt a bit mismatched. And when we kind of thought about potentially putting a poem on, everything just clicked together, and it was like,
Right.
this is what all the songs are about. This is the underlying theme of the actual EP. This is us. This is the vibe. It was everything. So
Yeah, no, I
we
mean,
were
it's perfect to kind of start it because it kind of pricks everyone's ears up and say, right, this is what it's about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I mentioned there that you went on tour with the Ratings. What has it been like getting back onto the live circuit since COVID? Because not just because of kind of being able to play live again, but the fact that you've released songs that you've not been able to play in front of a live audience. How has that kind of been? Because you must have been kind of quite reticent to see how people reacted, not to these new songs that you'd never played live to anyone before, no?
Yeah, I mean, to start with, horrendously nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Getting back into the first couple of gigs, it was like I felt like I'd never done a gig before. But
Yeah.
now, as you know, we've done loads of dates now and feel better than ever. And we've got a newfound energy on stage, and it's great. And I'm probably having a better time now playing live than I ever have done before.
Mm-hmm. And what was it? What was it that kind of helped you to kind of to get back into it again? Was it just kind of the reaction to the new songs that they were a lot better than you expected, or?
Yeah, I definitely think that's helped. I think the camaraderie on stage between us all is something that's really helped as well. And you know, being on stage with some of your best pals is great, and that's really helped. And you know, giving it more energy, and you receive more energy back from the audience. And I think that's really important. That's something that we've figured out. So I'm looking forward to putting it into use this weekend at Sound City, to be honest.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, having played with the Ratings as well, obviously that in itself is kind of another kind of nerve-wracking experience, because you're going to play in front of probably 90% of them maybe haven't even heard of you before, no? Because they're going to go and see the Ratings. So how did that go down? I imagine really well, but how did it go down for you once you kind of saw the feedback of people who've probably not listened to your songs before?
I think it's always an interesting experience when you're on support, when you're an opening band, and you are supporting these artists, because as you said, they're going there to see the main band, but it's also a great way of getting new fans. Yeah. And you can see people that when you start your set and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And then by the end, they're all bobbing their heads and they're all really into it. And it's like, you know, and everyone's coming up to us afterwards and being like, oh, that was so good. Like, my God, I can't wait to check you guys out. Like, when are you next coming down here? When are you next playing a gig? It's great, man. It's great. Honestly, winning new fans over and meeting new people is probably the best thing about doing these tours on support. Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking to you from Spain. I found out about you from Spain. I mean, so I mean, it's just kind of the fact that someone finds you from another country must be kind of mind blowing. Yeah, the same. Yeah. Brilliant. So, I mean, you've released this EP a few weeks ago. Have you, I mean, what can you say about what's coming next? Because, I mean, you've been really, really prolific so far. Have you still got things to keep the kind of the ball rolling?
Oh, we've got a lot of things in the pipeline, man. We've got some good stuff coming up this year, towards the end of this year. Yeah, we've definitely got things to keep it ticking over. And you know, the promise is that it's going to be grander than ever. It's going to be you know, we're just working to get things better and better and better. So I can't wait for the next release and stuff like that.
And I mean, obviously you can't talk too much about it, but is it going to be kind of similar style material, or have you tried over COVID? Have you tried experimenting with a few different things to take things a different direction? Maybe.
I think that we always try and kind of evolve and change our writing process and what the songs sound like. You know, we just develop it, and I think that's really what it is. We just try and improve as it you know, it ages with us as people and as writers, and I think it naturally does change. But yeah, it's still going to be anthemic. It's still going to be indie, and I think that it's going to be better than ever, to be honest.
And when you got back on the live scene, was there anything that you picked up on kind of when you played it live that you thought maybe would be good to kind of use for the next tracks to maybe kind of switch things around a little bit?
I play a lot of rhythm guitar in the stuff at the minute, and one thing that we were noticing was like, I'm a frontman. You know what I mean? I don't want to be rooted to a microphone all the time.
Right.
So maybe we might take that into consideration and have a bit more freedom where we can bounce about and things like that. You know, we thought about the old stuff and being like, some of it was quite melodic, and some songs like Would You Push Me in the Nettles off the EP is quite wordy, and we kind of want to combine the two of having really catchy melodies but strong lyrics and, you know, this poetry kind of vibe, and we want to combine the two, and like, not like we haven't been doing anyway, but just improving and getting those songs stuck in your ear.
Yeah. And that's your poetry itself, because I've never seen you live. Is that something that you implement in the live concerts as well? Do you just stand there under the spotlight and recite that poem?
Yeah, pretty much,
yeah?
man.
Because I haven't seen you.
Yeah. We'll have to change that soon, won't we?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, definitely, yeah. And but is that how they usually open the concert?
Not open it. We usually have a well, it kind of changes. It's like, you know, sometimes it's just spur of the moment, and we're not going to do the poem, and it just feels right, so we just put it in. You know, but yeah, sometimes it's a little mid-set break. Sometimes opening.
That's great. Brilliant. So I know, in terms of live, I know you've got Liverpool Sound City, and then you've got a few festivals. I read you've got Close Up Festival as well pretty soon in London. No, going down to London.
Yeah, man.
Crazy. And then you've got the Golden Touch Festival in Portsmouth. Aside from that, have you got anything else lined up? Kind of, are you hoping? I imagine when you release whatever's going to be coming next, you'll have some kind of maybe a headline UK tour to take that on the road, maybe.
Yeah. But we're looking at dates and stuff like that at the minute, and we're kind of getting some shows booked in. For us, we're playing a couple of smaller festivals over summer. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Brilliant. So I mean, just to finish off then, I always, whenever I get anyone on here, I like to ask them, because this is to support kind of up and coming groups. I like them to support other up and coming groups. So is there anyone that you've discovered or that you've come across on the live circuit that you recommend that people aren't really noticing, that need to get noticed?
Yeah. There are a few bands that we know that we've been friends with that I think that are absolutely great, and we all think of fab. So we were on tour with the Ratings with a band called Stone.
Right, Stone, yeah, very good, yeah.
Yeah, Stone they were boss. They put on a great show. They look great on stage. Lovely lot as well. Who else? There's a girl, Broken Down Golf Cart. She's great. She's from Liverpool as well. Writing all the dark kind of alternative stuff. She's boss. Who else? There's a lad called Eli Smart. He's good. Hawaiian dude. Very interesting. Hunk as well. If you like a bit of instrumental stuff, there's a band called Burial at Sea that are also good from Liverpool.
Oh yeah, I've only heard of the first one of those. Yeah, I have to check them out. Yeah.
And one last one is a band called the Merchants.
The Merchants, no, I've not heard of them either. No.
Yeah, we're also a Liverpool band. These are all kind of Liverpool-based people.
Brilliant.
So yeah, support that
fantastic.
Liverpool music scene.
Excellent. Well, listen, now thanks very much for your time. Like we've just said, I'll have to get over to a gig sometime soon. Like I said, I'm in Spain, but I'm hoping to go over and get some live music in my ear sometime soon. So as soon as I'm over, I'll give you a shout and get over to one of those gigs.
Lovely stuff, mate.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers again. Good to speak to you. All right. Take care. Hope to speak to you again soon. All right. Take care, mate.
To the chorus, when the night ends, I wonder what you tell your friends. You're the only lover I want. To the chorus with me. We'd still be up till 10 in the morning. We'd still be up till 10 in the morning.